Victory Gardens. That's the answer. We can grow food for victory in our own backyards, and even in vacant lots, where perhaps only weeds flourished before. Millions of men and women are finding real joy in victory gardening. And year in, year out, if need be, with our own hands, we can grow the gardens of victory. Get the advice of professional experts on how to derive the most from backyard planting.
Hi, I'm Eric Jackson, head gardener here at Old Salem. On this episode of How to Grow Your Own Victory Garden, we're going to look at the growing seasons through the year and planning the planting calendar. The garden starts with planting. Gardeners and farmers must understand and work with ecological cycles, seasonal cycles, weather, and the different needs and cycles of many different plant species. When growing a garden, one learns to work with and around weather. The residents of Old Salem would likely have used an almanac to guide their planting. Gardeners learn more each growing season. The experiencing of cycles of life throughout the year and in succession, one learns to design in 4 dimensions, planning for climatic factors throughout the year as well as short-term navigation of weather. Consulting the experience of others is invaluable when planning and planning your garden. Consulting an almanac, a little searching the internet, or a call to your local agriculture extension office can reveal a planting calendar for your location. Old Salem is in the central North Carolina Piedmont, a great place to garden. Almost any type of vegetable fruit can be grown successfully here, provided you choose the right varieties and plant at the right time. The climate, the season, and potential pests all affect the selection of what and when to plant. Learning when to plant and how to find out when to plant will be essential for planting your garden. Seasons. We have 3 optimal growing seasons here in North Carolina: spring, summer, and fall. Both day length and temperature dramatically increase between seasons. Short days and cool temperatures in the spring and fall, long days and high temperatures in the summer. Some plants are adapted to growing in the cool months of the year and will tolerate some frost, while others, warm season plants, do not tolerate frost and should be planted to grow outside only in the frost-free months. Even warm season plants have their limits and will temporarily stop bearing during heat waves. Freezing temperatures, high temperatures, humidity, and solar intensity, all common here in central North Carolina, can stress plants. To successfully grow plants in this environment, select varieties that are tolerant of temperature extremes, plant it at the appropriate times to avoid temperature extremes, or plan to protect the plants. It's possible to grow plants out of season by creating microclimates that differ from the overall climate by providing shade, humidity, or artificial heat. Hardiness zones. It's important to be aware of hardiness zones for where you're gardening. A hardiness zone is a geographically defined zone in which a specific category of plant life is capable of growing, as defined by temperature hardiness or ability to withstand the minimum temperatures of that zone. Old Salem is located in Zone 7B, a subzone of Zone 7. 7B has a minimum average temperature of 5 degrees to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, so we only want to try to grow plants that can withstand those cold temperatures. Once you know your hardiness zone, you can reference the internet to find out if a plant or cultivar you like to plant is hardy in your zone. Scheduling using a calendar. Planning and record keeping is easier when using a calendar. The average first and last frost date for your location are good to know and have on your calendar. Here in Winston-Salem, the average frost risk is from October 19th through April 20th, with almost certain frost from October 31st to April 13th, and almost guaranteed no frost from May 7th through October 8th. You can find the average first and last frost dates by a quick internet search or check your local ag extension website. Your calendar can show when to sow seeds for transplants indoors, as well as when to direct sow when you plant your seeds directly in the ground, and when to transplant. Seeds are started in the spring and then again in the fall. A good planting technique is succession planting, staggering the same crop in intervals of 2 to 3 weeks. It's also good to indicate when expected harvest dates. You can determine this by finding the days to maturity, often indicated on a seed packet. You can also find days of maturity on the internet. Each variety of a given species may have a slightly different number of days to maturity, so it's often good to know the number of days of maturity for the specific variety that you're growing. Something else to include on your calendar are dates to test soil. Here in North Carolina, soil tests are free between April and Thanksgiving. Keep your calendar from year to year and use it as a reference. Let's consider what a typical growing year is like. In the spring, you harvest overwintered crops. Spring is also the time to direct seed and transplant cool season vegetables like cabbage, carrots, beets, and lettuce. Later in the spring is the time to direct seed warm season crops like beans, cucumbers, and squash. Usually we are done seeding the summer crops by the actual first day of summer. Late spring is also when we transplant crops like tomatoes and peppers. The last few weeks of spring bring the first spring planted harvest as well. In the summer, we direct seed hot season crops like okra and cowpeas. We also continue harvesting. In August into the beginning of September, we are direct seeding fall crops. Later summer and fall is also a time of harvesting seed crops. Fall can be a busy time of harvesting summer and fall crops, harvesting seed crops, as well as preparing beds for spring planting. Winter is a time for seed cleaning, planting, researching, seed catalog browsing, seed swapping and sharing, as well as starting plants indoors or in a greenhouse. Record keeping. You'll benefit greatly from keeping good records of when, what, and where you planted. The dates you plant will help you anticipate harvest dates. You can almost always find days of maturity labeled on seed packets, or of course a quick internet search can give you those numbers as well. Resources. Here are a few resources that I can recommend to help you on your way. As always, your local county extension service has a lot of good info directly applicable to your area. You can find a lot on their website or give them a call. 2 books that I recommend are The Vegetable Grower's Handbook by Frank Tozer and Vegetable Gardening in the Southeast by Ira Wallace. Well, that wraps up another episode of How to Grow Your Own Victory Garden. I hope you feel a little more prepared now to plan your own garden throughout the year. Being aware of the climatic limitations of your location, along with the preferred season of the crops you want to grow, can greatly help ensure a successful harvest from your garden. Stay tuned for another episode soon, where we'll look at an important member of the garden community, insects.
Fresh food, good food. Food packed with the rich minerals and vitamins we all need to keep healthy, strong, and fit. Fresh food, good food. Food from our own backyards. Food from the gardens of victory, grown by you and me. It's a great way to have fun and get plenty of healthful exercise. They're discovering that the closer they get to the good earth, and the more they drink in fresh air and sunshine, the more courage and strength they have to face today's problems and meet them like true Americans.